Have you ever wondered why some pieces of content just basically go viral and others fall completely flat? If you want your content to go further, it means you're going to have to start actually getting people's attention. And that means you're going to have to understand how to work with their brain, which means psychology. So here's a few tips on how to work with people's brains in order to help make sure that they not just pay attention, but engage with your content. What's one of the best ways to get the brain's attention? Storytelling. Storytelling does a phenomenal job engaging both the logical side of the brain and the emotional side of the brain, which means we're getting more of the brain engaged with our content, which means not only is it more likely to pay attention, it's also more likely to remember, which of course is the key because no one's going to be able to buy from you if they can't remember you. Not just that, but really great storytelling also releases oxytocin in the brain, which means you are building trust and empathy just by the fact you are telling a really great story. And because telling stories creates an emotional response for your listener or for your viewer, that also adds value through your marketing. Now, I've talked about this quite a bit on this channel, but just as a quick recap, in case you're new here, we have been sold a lie basically when it comes to marketing. And it's less a lie and just something that has just evolved over time and people still haven't really updated how they're talking about it. So first and foremost, we have been told that our marketing needs to be value add, which is true. What we have been told incorrectly is that the way to add value is by giving information. The problem with this is we live in a world, a day and age where there is so much misinformation out there that people don't trust information unless they trust the source it's coming from. Well, that's a problem when your marketing is mostly going out to people who haven't built trust with your brand yet, right? Because if they had, they probably would have bought from you. So you have to make sure that you are adding value to them beyond information. And one of the best ways to do that is emotion. We pay for emotion all the time. We pay to experience emotions. We pay to go to movies. We pay to go to shows. I use Taylor Swift's The Eras Tour as like the example of all time for this because she generated $5 billion in economic impact through basically selling a 3-hour-long emotional experience for people. So when you are telling great stories, and I will tell you, those stories don't have to be incredibly complex. It doesn't have to be you sitting down and like sitting in a chair with like, a book in your Santa hat and like reading them a story. It can be you telling a really quick, like, let me tell you about how I got more XYZ. Let me tell you about something that just happened to me. Let me tell you that is still a story. It doesn't have to be complicated, but you telling stories enriches people's lives, which makes them want to engage with you more and pay more attention to you. So if one of the best ways to get people's attention is to spark emotion in them, what are some other ways that we can do this? Well, one of the most important tools that I have in my tool belt that I've learned to add to everything that goes out is I have added one question. Whenever we're preparing a piece of content, I have added one question that we ask ourselves. Now, I'm not going to pretend that we're perfect at this, but we do try at least to ask this for every piece of content that we put out. And that question is, what emotion do I want this content to spark? See, people are going to remember how your marketing made them feel more than what it said. You want to actually be actively aiming to spark a specific emotion in them. If you want to make them curious or excited or worried, you are going to want to think about what do I want them to feel when they see this marketing. For example, with Grow Disrupt, we've started using the tagline, ready for an event that gets you. And this does a couple of things for people. It's a very short line, but it really has a whole story behind it, and it has an emotional response to the right individual. When the right people feel this, there's this moment of feeling seen, feeling heard, feeling special. There's this moment of realizing that everything else that they have gone to before doesn't quite live up, and so they feel dissatisfied with their last experience and curious about the next one. All of those are emotions that are being sparked in a single sentence. And it started with me asking myself, what is one question that I could ask the people who view our marketing for Grow Disrupt that would spark curiosity, that would make them feel seen and heard, because that is a big piece of what we try to do at our events, and that would automatically spark a realization that everything else they had gone to before just did not live up. Next up, want to get people's attention? Let's keep talking about how do we build emotion. In this case, how do you build some more trust? Well, social proof is an incredible way to build trust with your audience at a glance. Because people are influenced by other people. We have this thing called herd mentality. It's something that has been baked into our brains since like caveman days, because when we were in the herd, we were a lot safer than when we were on our own or trying to function on our own. So we have this built-in concept in our heads that it's going to be safer for me to be with a whole bunch of other people. If a bunch of other people have bought this, it's probably okay for me to buy this too. Now, your social proof can be built through videos. It can be built through testimonials. It can be built like you don't have to have a single page that's full of testimonials. You can have one-liner testimonials spread across your website. In fact, I highly recommend you check out how we've done this at both the growdisrupt.com website as well as the Grow Retreat website, because we've done a really great job in threading testimonials throughout that site, to the point where I've had people say, well, there's no testimonials page. No, there's not a testimonials page on the Grow Disrupt website, but there are testimonials on every single page, and people tend to actually recognize them more, internalize them more, and trust them more because they're not being fed them as a testimonial. I know this because I've had multiple people say, oh, I saw this line on your website, not necessarily like registering that that was a social proof testimonial. Next up, if you want to get the brain's attention, keep it simple. We live in a world that is cluttered and chaotic. The simpler you can make things, the easier it is for their brain to engage. The number of marketing pieces that are sent my way to review and provide feedback on that are filled to the brim with information is too many. Keep it simple. Ask yourself, what is the one thing that I'm trying to communicate? And what is the emotion I'm trying to spark here? And how can I do it in the fewest possible words, the fewest possible images, so that I can create engagement and help make it easy for their brain to want to be involved with my brand. Really what this all sums down to is trying to lean on the brain's inherent nature for reciprocity. Reciprocity is this idea that when you've done something for me, I want to do something for you. Now we see this in social media all the time. If you've noticed, the kind of content that gets the most engagement is the content that has done something for people. It's made them feel something. It's made them smarter. It's made them engaged. When you offer something of value, people want to engage back with you. A lot of times that value is emotion. If I do my job to make people feel smarter, to make them feel capable and stronger at what they are doing, then they're more likely to engage with my brand, because that is how the brain works. They want to give something back. I gave them emotion, and so they can very easily engage back with me. So give it a try. See what you can do to start sparking emotion in your content this week, and see how much the engagement starts to increase from there. If you like this video, do me a quick favor, like, comment, engage with the video somehow. That is our way of making sure that more people are able to get their hands on this information and help improve their businesses as well. You got this.